The roar of water crashing against ceramic tiles cut through the summer heat like a thunderclap. Maggie's scream echoed off the pool's walls, sharp and desperate, as she tumbled beneath the surface. In that heartbeat, Linda Sullivan's world tilted. Neighbors spilled into backyards, lawn chairs overturned, sprinklers whirled uselessly in stunned disbelief. Cooper, the 3-year-old pit bull known for running from rain puddles, froze at the pool's edge. His hackles rose. He hesitated for a breath too long, then lunged. Welcome to the HeartForce channel, where you and I find more meaning in life through dog stories. Before we continue, please comment below and let us know where you're listening to this video. And if you have any stories about my loyal friend, please share them with us. Summer in Oak Haven was meant for sunlit laughter, not nightmares. But for the Sullivans, that July afternoon became the prologue to everything that would follow. Mike Sullivan, veteran K-9 handler and Maggie's hero in uniform, arrived moments later, diving into the water to pull his daughter to safety. Cooper paddled beside him, muzzle gentle around Maggie's pink floatie, escorting her to the shallow end with every ounce of desperation and love he could summon. That day, Cooper conquered his own terror, a dog who trembled at sprinklers, who once panicked at the sight of rain, had forged through choking chlorine to save a child. It was so sudden, so utter a reversal of everything everyone believed about him, that whispers of miracle rippled through the neighbors. By nightfall, news vans lined the street. Reporters jostled for footage of the pit bull who ignored a lifetime of fear to protect a child. Photos of Cooper's soaked, shaking form dripped across social media, each image a pulse of astonishment. How could this breed, vilified by headlines, be capable of such grace? But while the world celebrated, back home the Sullivans braced for the storm of prejudice they'd unleashed. Oak Haven's Homeowners Association, a bastion of traditional values, was already splitting in two, those who saw Cooper as hero and those who saw only the dog they feared. The next morning, flyers appeared on doors. Dangerous breed lives here. Anonymous flyers. No signature. Linda woke before dawn, dragging herself through the kitchen to find Maggie curled around Cooper's favorite toy. The little girl's eyes stretched open, blinking tears away. "He saved me, Mommy," she whispered. "I know, sweetheart." Linda's voice cracked. She stroked Cooper's ear as he lay watchful at their feet. "You saved each other." In the days that followed, every good deed Cooper performed turned into proof of aggression. When he barked at a loose raccoon, neighbors claimed he was primed to attack. When he led Linda away from a kitchen fire, sniffing out smoldering crayons, some insisted it was hysterical jumping. Even Cooper's gentle habit of nudging Maggie away from shadows at bedtime was twisted into ominous guarding. Each new accusation demanded a response. Phone calls, emails, HOA meetings protracted into dark evenings of angry faces and shouted ultimatums. Code of conduct, breed restrictions, fines, threats. The Sullivans were forced to file affidavits, gather video evidence, and haul Cooper to temperament tests, each a grueling insult dressed as due process. They refused to abandon him. They could not teach Maggie to stand against bullies by yielding to them. Yet the real battle wasn't legal. It was moral. The line drawn in Oak Haven soil was between fear and trust. And while Cooper carried his humiliation in his soulful gape, Maggie carried hers in a silent dread of classmates who scurried past her, eyes down. Linda watched her daughter shrink, heard her make excuses to stay inside, and vowed that injustice would not win. So they fought, organizing neighborhood barbecues, inviting both skeptics and supporters, inviting children to read by Cooper's side, showing security camera clips of his gentle rescue, time and again, sharing articles about therapy pit bulls in hospitals and courthouses. Each event was a dramatic loop, hope rising, then crashing into renewed hostility, then swelling again. Midweek, during a thunderstorm that knocked out power across Oak Haven, Cooper's instincts soared above his terror of thunder. He led the Sullivans down to the basement moments before a tree limb splintered through their living room roof. No one was hurt, No one but their fragile faith in community unity was shaken. Still, the opposition grew stubborn. Letters arrived accusing Cooper of staging events to win sympathy. A social media page, Safe Schools, No Pit Bulls, gathered momentum, its moderators happily sharing sensationalized dog attack videos from across the country. Each twist came every few minutes like clockwork. Just when Cooper's defenders believed they had momentum, a new crisis erupted. Through it all, Cooper never wavered. He stayed at Maggie's side during her nightmares, scented her safe under blankets, and refused to abandon his post at the pool gate despite orders to keep him indoors. His presence comforted her. It reminded her and Linda and Mike that love was stronger than fear. On the 7th day after the rescue, the Sullivans held a small gathering by their pool. A handful of neighbors arrived, some curious, some still wary. Mike spoke quietly about character over breed. Linda played Maggie's favorite song. Maggie held Cooper close. They laughed, they cried, and they saw, in each other's faces, the healing power of shared vulnerability. That evening closed without incident. No flyers, no threats, just the hum of crickets and the sighing breeze through oak leaves. Cooper lay beside Maggie's floatie, ears limp, eyes bright. He had done the impossible. He had given everyone a glimpse of a better world, one in which loyalty conquers prejudice and truth outshines rumor. Dawn brought no relief, only a heavier quiet. The ripples from Atlas's leap still coursed through Willow Creek, Oregon, but the Harper family felt the backlash before sunrise. Flyers lay tacked to their front gate. Dangerous breed, keep away. No signature, no epalyi, just fear. Jessica Harper stared at the paper, stomach twisting. David's coffee sat untouched on the table. Lily, still in her nightgown, clutched Atlas's favorite squeaky ball, her fingernails white with worry. Atlas lay beside her, ears pricked, as if bracing for another storm. The rescue had saved Lily's life, but stripped away their neighbor's trust. By mid-morning, the Harpers learned of an emergency HOA meeting. Notices slid under doors on their cul-de-sac. Pool safety discussion, pit bull presence. Jessica tried to steel herself. David squeezed her hand. Atlas nosed Lily's hand, his deep eyes begging them to stand firm. They arrived at Willow Creek Community Hall to find rows of folding chairs filled with angry faces. The president, Carla Trent, called the meeting to order. "We cannot have this," she began, voice trembling, an unregulated animal threatening our children. A murmur of assent rippled through the crowd. Jessica stood, voice calm but firm. "Atlas saved Lily. Your own video shows it. He acted by instinct, by love." She held up her phone and played the pool footage. Atlas's powerful stroke, muzzle cradling Lily's arm, brought gasps from skeptics and supporters alike. A dramatic loop, trust rose, then the president abruptly cut the feed, citing time limits. No twist came this time, only more resistance. Carla dismissed the clip as cherry-picked. David pleaded for common sense. Breed doesn't define character. Atlas is family. But logic met brick walls. Someone shouted about liability. Others hissed about precedent. Atlas remained silent in the corner, tail tucked, powerless to defend himself. Back home, Lily refused to go outside. She ate breakfast at the kitchen table while Atlas sat by the door, head tilted. Confused, Jessica knelt and whispered, "We'll fix this, baby. I promise." Atlas licked Lily's cheek. A tiny loop of comfort amid chaos. That afternoon, a twist erupted without warning. Jessica smelled smoke. She followed the acrid scent to the kitchen. A crayon smoldered on the stove's back burner, curled edges glowing red. Lily, innocently playing, had left her art supplies too close. Atlas's frantic barking shattered the haze of panic. Labrador-sized, but gentle-natured. He banged his heavy front paws on the cabinet door until Jessica flung it open and snuffed the ember with a dish towel. In moments, neighbors would credit him with aggression for rattling the house. But Jessica saw salvation. Atlas had saved the day again, this time without water. She hugged him tightly as tears streamed down her face. Atlas nuzzled her, head low, as if saying, "I did it for Lily." Another loop of heroism, another twist against prejudice. Yet the following morning brought more tension. An anonymous social media page, Safe Streets, No Pit Bulls, published a photo of Atlas barking at a raccoon. The caption claimed he had attacked wildlife. What about children? Comments ignited like tinder. No one paused to ask context. No one remembered Atlas's dog-faced devotion. At Lily's preschool, Jessica overheard whispers. "Isn't that the girl whose dad brought a pit bull?" Small voices asked to sit elsewhere. Lily's bright check-in turned to tears. Jessica clenched Atlas's leash on the way home. Baby steps toward a broken world. Then, as if battling fate itself, Atlas's instinct struck again. A thunderstorm rolled in, cracking sky, shuttering windows. Atlas, terrified of thunder, cowered at first. But when lightning struck a tree in their side yard, crashing through the roof's overhang, Atlas bounded toward danger. His bark summoned Jessica and Lily into the hallway. Seconds later, a splintered pine limb slammed onto the porch where they'd stood moments before. Neighbors later praised the Harpers for good home construction planning. The truth, Atlas led them to safety. A wild twist, fear eclipsed by unwavering loyalty. But the HOA did not relent. They issued a formal notice. Atlas must be confined indoors or removed from premises. A fine of $500 per day loomed. Jessica and David faced a grim choice: abandon their dog or pay until bankruptcy. Atlas, once a trembling puppy, had become a lightning rod for vengeance. In response, David organized a small gathering at the Harper home. 5 families braved invitation. They arrived with side glances, but children came forward to pat Atlas through the fence, remembering the rescue. A hesitant neighbor, Mr. Kim, confessed he'd seen Atlas tiptoe along the fence to comfort his own sobbing daughter one night. Another, Ms. Flores, admitted that her cat remained healthy thanks to Atlas gently guiding it from the busy street. Each story peeled away layers of fear, small victories in a war of hearts. As dusk fell, Jessica led neighbors to the poolside and recounted Lily's rescue. Then she offered lemonade and cookies. Atlas lay next to Lily, muzzle on her lap. The air grew soft with understanding. Yet just as hope hovered, John Reynolds, HOA board member, stormed in, snatching his grandson's hand. "This is staged," he spat. "Next, you'll water that grass to hide evidence." His accusation hung like a curse. Jessica, voice steady, responded, "If love is a lie, then let us live in it." A hush fell. Atlas lifted his head. Lily smiled bravely. In that moment, for once, fear faltered. Inside, David found a flyer on his windshield. Flooded pool accidents, seen only in pit bull households. No signature, no evidence, only prejudice. By night's end, the Harpers descended into the living room. Atlas on his mat, Lily asleep on the couch, Jessica and David exhausted but resolute. They would not surrender. They had faced darkness and kept walking forward. They believed love was more powerful than rumor. Outside, Atlas dozed, dreaming perhaps of swimming without fear, of constant joy instead of suspicion. The next day promised new battles. Another HOA meeting, another digital smear campaign, another twist of cruelty. But the Harpers had learned something vital. Cruelty might circle like sharks, but loyalty and truth could run stronger and deeper, like a river carving stone. They would fight, together. The courtroom gallery smelled of polished wood and stale coffee. Judge Morales peered over her glasses as Carla Trent, HOA president, argued bloodlessly for Atlas's removal. Liability, she droned. Precedent. Every word struck like steel against Jessica Harper's heart. Across the room, David clasped Atlas's leash. Atlas sat obediently at his feet, ears flicking at every murmur. Jessica fought tears. Outside, supporters and protesters clashed in heated whispers, some waving "Let Atlas stay" signs, others "Save our children" flyers. It felt less like justice and more like a lynch mob wearing suits. Suddenly, the doors burst open. Dr. Elena Ruiz, renowned behaviorist, strode in, breathless. "Your Honor," she began, handing over her CV and detailed temperament report. "I evaluated Atlas under controlled conditions. He displayed zero aggression in 100 standardized tests." Murmurs rippled. Carla's lips tightened. Judge Morales flipped through the files. "Ms. Harper, is this accurate?" Jessica swallowed. "Yes, Your Honor." Dr. Ruiz witnessed his rescue, his fire warning, the storm alert. Her voice cracked. "Atlas has saved lives." A tense silence, then Carla's final retort. "We cannot gamble community safety, even with one case." The gavel fell. Atlas must go. Outside, cameras swarmed. The verdict felt like a punch to the gut. David wrapped his arm around Jessica as Atlas leaned into her side, head low. Lily's small hand reached for Atlas's muzzle, tears streaking her cheeks. "My hero," she sobbed. But true heart forces rarely die in defeat. That evening, Emily Brooks, the investigative journalist, published an exposé detailing Carla Trent's conflict of interest. Her spouse owned the insurance firm set to profit from new HOA liability policies. The article rippled through local news and social media. Comments shifted, fear tempered by outrage at betrayal. The next morning, flyers demanding Carla's resignation covered Willow Creek doors. A twist, the villain was unmasked. The community's moral sign wave soared. Hope returned, only to dip sharply when Carla refused to step down, accusing Jessica of fabricating the report. Public opinion split again. Still, a small miracle emerged. Mrs. Tran, a retired lawyer who'd quietly observed Atlas since the pool incident, offered free legal representation. With her help, the Harpers filed an injunction against the HOA's breed-specific ban. The paperwork felt like armor, proof that love could be fought for in courts as well as backyards. As autumn leaves flirted with the sidewalks, Atlas's world shrank to early morning walks and late-night refuge beside Lily's bed. But outside, the battle raged. Heated editorials, community forums, even lawn signs proclaiming behavior over breed. The Harper home became a fortress of convictions. One rainy afternoon, a sudden knock rattled the door. Atlas tensed. Rain was his enemy. Jessica opened it to find Carla Trent standing drenched, clutching a wet package. Inside, a box of old photographs showing Carla's own grandfather decades ago with a sled dog rescue team in Alaska. He'd been lionized for saving trapped miners. Carla's voice wavered. I'm sorry. I forgot what courage meant." Atlas stepped forward, water dripping, tail timidly wagging. Carla knelt, stroked his damp fur. "I've been wrong," she whispered. Another twist, the adversary breaking. Yet redemption did not come easily. That night, an anonymous threat was taped to their gate. "Traitor dog, watch your back." Atlas's hackles rose even in sleep. Lily bolted upright, calling Atlas. He bounded from the living room, crashing into her arms. In his eyes, protection. A week later, Jessica led a group of neighbors in repainting the old community sign. They scrubbed away graffiti that once read "No Pit Bulls" and revealed, "Welcome to Willow Creek. All are welcome." Atlas supervised, tongue lolling, paws muddy. Children ran to pat him. Parents stood awkwardly before offering hesitant smiles. Slowly, the portrait of hatred faded. But fate wasn't finished testing them. On Halloween night, a fire broke out in the apartment complex across the street. Flames licked the second floor. Frantic cries echoed. David snatched Atlas's leash. "Go," he shouted. Atlas bolted through the rain-slicked street toward the smoke, ignoring thunder. He darted between cars, nose to the ground, until he found Mrs. Patel's terrified toddler creeping toward the blaze. Baring his teeth in a stern warning bark, Atlas guided the child back to safety, then circled until Jessica and David arrived with blankets and phone calls to 911. Paramedics and firefighters arrived to find Atlas leaning protectively over the child, soaked and unharmed. Cameras clicked again, another twist rewriting Willow Creek's narrative. This time, the hero could not be denied. The next morning's headlines proclaimed Pit bull guardian angel saves toddler from flames. No qualifiers. No outrage. Just gratitude. Inside their home, Lily pinned the newspaper to the refrigerator. Atlas lay at her feet, head resting on his paws. She hugged his neck. "You always know what to do," she whispered. Atlas licked her cheek, eyes soft. As winter edged closer, the Harpers prepared for the injunction hearing. Now armed with evidence of community support, Carla's weakened stance, and Mrs. Tran's legal prowess, they faced the judge again. This time, Judge Morales listened intently to a parade of testimonies. First responders praising Atlas's fire rescue. Neighbors recounting his gentle comfort during Maggie's nightmares. Dr. Ruiz affirming his stable temperament. Carla herself admitting error. When the gavel finally fell, the words were simple. HOA breed restrictions are unenforceable. Atlas may remain. The courtroom erupted. Atlas barked once, chest heaving, as Jessica and David hugged him. That afternoon, the Harpers walked Atlas along the now quiet cul-de-sac. Neighbors emerged, tossing treats, patting his head. Lily rode her bike beside him, giggling as Atlas trotted proudly at her side. The final loop, fear defeated by truth, prejudice unraveled by consistent love. Inside, Carla Trent drafted her resignation letter from the HOA board. She delivered it with Atlas by her side, offering thanks. He sniffed her hand, forgiving all. Over hot cocoa that night, the family celebrated quietly. Atlas, wrapped in a new knitted blanket from Mrs. Tran, lay happily among them. The courtroom battles were over, but the journey continued. Community healing, policy reforms, and ongoing education about behavior-based rules. Atlas's head dipped as he drifted to sleep, his muzzle graying but spirit undimmed. In his dreams, he raced through sunlit fields free of fear. And when dawn broke, he would awaken ready to protect, to comfort, and to challenge any lingering shadows of doubt. Spring arrived in Willow Creek with misty mornings and blooming dogwoods. Atlas stretched on the dewy lawn, nose buried in clover. Lily chased butterflies while Jessica and David tended the garden. Peace had settled over their neighborhood. A fragile calm earned with courage. That calm shattered late one afternoon. A troop of scouts pitched tents by the creek for a weekend camp. Dark clouds rolled in faster than expected. Thunder snarled overhead. Jessica glanced toward the woods and saw a boy slip on the slick bank, tumbling into the swollen current. His scream was swallowed by the roar of rushing water. Atlas sprang upright, muscles coiling. He bolted across the yard, plunging into the creek with a single bound. His paws churned the dark water as he surged downstream. Jessica grabbed Lily's hand. "He's going after him," she gasped. Lily nodded, silent tears welling. The current tested Atlas's strength. It tugged at his lean frame, spun him like driftwood. But he angled toward a submerged logjam where the boy, a scout named Ethan, was pinned by a broken branch. His small face was white with terror. Atlas circled, barking with urgent intensity. He bit the branch's splintered end, tugging with all his weight. Water washed over his head, stinging his eyes. Branches scraped his coat. Still he tugged. Adult voices rang in the distance as troop leaders raced along the bank, flashlights bobbing in the gloom. For a moment, Atlas paused. His jaws slipped off the branch. Ethan slipped lower, bubbles spilling from his lips. Time froze. Then Atlas lunged again, latching onto a loosened knot. He heaved backward, chest trembling, and the branch cracked free. Water gushed around them. With one final stroke, Atlas guided Ethan toward the shore. Troop leaders swooped in to haul the drenched boy to safety. "He's hypothermic," someone shouted. Others wrapped Ethan in blankets. Jessica and David waded into the shallows, Lily clutching Atlas's soaked fur. Ethan coughed, sputtered, gasping for breath. Rescue was at hand, but the crisis wasn't over. Atlas staggered as he reached shallow water. His hind leg snagged on a jagged rock. He collapsed face first in the mud. Lily knelt beside him, tears streaming. "Atlas, no." Her voice cracked. David scooped Atlas into his arms. The dog whimpered, a low, broken sound. Jessica dialed 911 again, this time for Atlas. Neighbors rushed from their homes, phones ready. The same cameras that once filmed suspicion now captured grief. Atlas's muzzle quivered. The creek's red clay stained his fur. Two paramedics arrived with a stretcher and a pet oxygen mask. They worked swiftly, covering Atlas in a thermal blanket, checking his pulse. Jessica knelt, stroking Atlas's head. Lily pressed her cheek against his. "You saved him," she whispered. Atlas licked her tear-streaked face, eyes half open. At the emergency vet clinic minutes later, Atlas was rushed inside. The waiting room overflowed with neighbors who'd come to stand vigil. Some held candles. Others stood in silent salute. A few wore behavior over breed pins. Skeptics gathered at the door, voices hushed, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Jessica paced the hallway. David sat with Lily beside him, her small head resting on his shoulder. "He's so brave," Lily murmured. David nodded. "He always is." Inside the treatment room, Dr. Ruiz and a team of vet technicians worked to stabilize Atlas. They found a deep laceration on his hind leg and early signs of hypothermia. A series of x-rays confirmed no broken bones. Despite the injuries, his heart remained strong. Every beep of the monitor was a pulse of hope. Hours passed like days. The fluorescent lights hummed. Finally, Dr. Ruiz emerged. Her coat was stained with iodine. She offered a tired smile. "Atlas is stable. He'll need rest and antibiotics, but he's a tough boy. He pulled through the worst of it." Relief washed over everyone. That night, Atlas lay on a padded bed in the Harper living room, bandages on his leg and a soft muzzle mask for oxygen support. Lily slipped beside him and whispered, "You're my hero, Atlas." He turned his head, tail thumping once, slow but steady. The next morning, word spread of Atlas's recovery. At Willow Creek Elementary, students made get-well cards covered in paw prints and rainbow drawings. Lily's class presented a giant banner. "Get well, our guardian." Teachers pinned it above Atlas's crate at home. At the Harper front gate, neighbors left bouquets of daffodils and handwritten notes. One card read, "Thank you for saving our boy and for healing our hearts." Across the street, the community sign shone with fresh paint, its message unwavering. Willow Creek welcomes all. Yet a final twist awaited. A letter arrived from the HOA. A request to re-examine Atlas's confined hours restriction. They cited the rescue as evidence of risk. "Your dog endangered himself and others," it claimed. Even in triumph, prejudice reached for a new foothold. Jessica's jaw tightened as she read the letter aloud to David and Lily. Atlas's ears pricked. He lifted his head, sensing the tension. Lily knelt and hugged him, bandaged leg and all. "We won't let this happen again," she vowed. "We'll fight." Atlas licked her forehead, a gentle reassurance. Then he drifted off to sleep, head on Lily's lap, dreaming of wide-open fields and clear streams, free of danger, free of doubt. In those quiet moments, the Harpers realized their journey was not over. They had seen fear and prejudice rethink itself. They had proven that character mattered more than labels. But love demanded vigilance. Courage required constant renewal. Atlas needed rest. The community needed unity. And the Harpers needed to stand ready for whatever came next. Because in Willow Creek, every hero's return sparked new chapters of hope and new battles for justice. Morning light filtered through frost-rimmed windows as Atlas stirred on his quilted bed. His hind leg, wrapped in a crisp white bandage, twitched at a memory of the creek's rapids. Lily patted in, clutching her art pad, now full of drawings of Atlas's rescues. She knelt and pressed a kiss to his muzzle. "You did it again, hero." The final challenge arrived that afternoon. A regional animal behavior conference organized a high-profile debate in Seattle. Breed versus behavior. Lessons from hero dogs. The Harpers were invited to speak alongside experts, first responders, and legislators. It was their chance to shape policy beyond Willow Creek. The conference hall buzzed with tension and hope. Jessica took the stage first, her voice clear and calm. She showed a montage. Atlas saving Lily, dousing kitchen fires, spirited river rescues, and guiding toddlers from flames. Each clip pulsed with truth. Then David described the HOA battles, the legal injunction, and the community's journey from fear to trust. He cited data on behavior-based regulations, highlighting how Atlas's case exposed the flaws of breed-specific laws. A hush fell as Dr. Elena Ruiz delivered her professional verdict. Atlas's temperament tests rank him in the highest category of stability and sociability. She presented longitudinal studies showing no correlation between breed and aggression. Each statement landed like a pebble in a silent pond, spreading ripples of conviction. Next, the moderator invited audience questions. A state senator rose, voice steady. Given Atlas's story, will you support legislation banning breed bans in our state? Murmurs of assent rippled. Then a representative from an animal welfare group asked about funding for community outreach. Jessica and David proposed the Willow Creek model, free training workshops, neighborhood meet-and-greet days for shelter dogs, and therapy dog visits to schools and hospitals. Just as momentum peaked, a recorded video played of an emergency call. A frightened driver stranded on a snow-slick highway, rescued by a police K-9 team that included a pit bull mix. Atlas's former kennel mate, Bolt. The driver's voice quivered. We thought all pit bulls were killers. That dog saved my life. Tears streaked across faces in the audience. A new twist. Atlas's story was only one of many. The final panelist, a state Supreme Court justice, rose and declared, I will draft a bill to end breed-specific legislation, focusing instead on individual assessments. Applause thundered. Atlas, perched beside Lily on a raised platform, wagged his tail with slow, dignified joy as ribbons of realization unfurled across the hall. Back in Willow Creek, change blossomed quickly. The HOA formally repealed all breed restrictions and adopted behavior-based guidelines. The community pool welcomed all canine visitors during supervised safety swim sessions. Linda's school introduced lessons from Atlas into its curriculum, teaching empathy and courage. Local media ran weekly features on dogs in service, fostering a culture of inclusion. Early spring brought the grand opening of Atlas Park, a fenced woodland trail and pond complex open to all breeds. On opening day, children paraded in puppy costumes. Firefighters offered water safety demos. Rescue squads held meet and greets. Atlas, now 13 with silver whiskers, led the ribbon cutting. His steps were careful but proud. That evening, the Harpers gathered in their rebuilt backyard. New trees, fresh grass, a pond mirroring that fateful creek. Atlas lay in the center, breathing in the fragrant air. Lily nestled at his side, now 10 and determined to become a veterinarian. She stroked his head, voice soft. Thank you for teaching us how to stand tall. David watched the sunset, arm around Jessica. We fought a long war, he said, but look at this world we've shaped. She nodded. He showed us that courage isn't born of muscle or size. It's born of love. Atlas closed his eyes, content. Beyond the pool's edge, beyond courthouse floors, beyond conference stages, the greatest victory was in every changed heart. In every family that opened its arms to a dog once feared. In every child who learned that heroes come in unexpected packages. As night fell, fireflies blinked over the pond. Atlas lifted his head one last time, eyes bright with gentle wisdom. Then he lay down again, dreaming of clear streams and endless fields. The world he helped transform stood guard around him, no longer shackled by prejudice, but free to see truth beneath the fur. Atlas's journey teaches us that true courage often lives inside the misunderstood. Prejudice fades when faced with unwavering loyalty and selfless acts. We witnessed how one dog's rescue rippled through a community, reshaping laws, healing wounds, and building bridges of empathy. His story reminds us that character is not determined by appearance, but by deeds of the heart. When love confronts fear, it transforms both. Atlas showed us that courage demands persistence, that justice requires compassion, and that real change happens when we choose to stand for those without a voice. May we carry his legacy forward in our own lives. How has an animal's loyalty changed you? Share your story in the comments below and join our community of HeartForce heroes. If Atlas's journey inspired you, subscribe to the HeartForce channel for more uplifting tales of courage, love, and transformation. Let's spread hope together.